Another thing, we'll just go over some articles. Games journalists are having a real one this week, and this was a funny article from PC Gamer by Harvey Randall, where he's trying to make the point that Metaphor Refantasio success is proof that politics are good in video games. Actually, no matter what reactionaries tell you. So he's trying to make this idea that, politics, like political intrigue, is good. And that apparently, reactionary gamers like Grums and the like hate that kind of stuff. They hate it when politics, and he's trying to weave in this dumb argument that Metaphor Refantasio did receive. Like, I went over this where they have like some of their lines are pretty cringy, and some of the themes of it are kind of like seem kind of woke, but they do maintain like a level of separation from real life where people can interpret it in different ways. Like, I don't, maybe I'll go over after I go through some of this article here. But Harvey Randall really proves, I think he kind of ultimately goes against the point he's trying to make by bringing up a bunch of politics that nobody wants in their video game. So further, which might surprise you, because if you listen to the reactionary content mills for information, you might be pulled time and time again that politics don't have a place in video games. If you're currently ankle deep in making reaction videos and about to call me cringe, hi, I hope you're doing well. Imagine me waving enthusiastically. See, what are the issues immediately when you read how cringe this sentence is? I mean, and yes, it is cringe. Harvey, you got it right. If someone like Harvey was writing, and unfortunately, I think a lot of people in the West write like this, like, Dragon Age Veilguards or something. Yeah, nobody wants that politics in your video game. Nobody wants a style of writing in their video games. If Harvey Randall was writing a political, writing about politics in video games, or making a video game about political intrigue, no one would want to play it. And this is the problem with like things like Dustborn or Veilguard or that kind of stuff. When they try to throw in politics, it's the most ham-fisted crap in the world. The straw man, he just immediately admits that it's a straw man. Cool. Wow, you're really self-aware. Thank you, Harvey. We'll tell you that we need to go back to a time when games were woke and were instead about simple, grizzled, tough guys tackling straightforward problems. Big dudes in arm. Yeah. The old days with like Mario. There was tons of that. Again, he's just making this argument. Yeah, there is nothing that we lost here. This old argument, like, yeah, gaming wasn't better back in the day. Nothing's changed. It's the same as it always was. Where there ought to be a choir somewhere where a badass one-liner accompanies someone getting stabbed. That'll fix gaming. I would like that, actually. I think it'd pretty cool if some badass dude had a one-liner after he stabbed a dude. That'll fix gaming, and we'll never have to think about anything uncomfortable again. That's exactly what I want to do when I play a game. I want to think about uncomfortable things like racism. That's when I play a video game. That's exactly sweet. Yes, just give me more of that. That's exactly what people want. Equal opportunity doesn't mean equal footing. And then he goes in. This is the kind of stuff like he's talking about, like in the yellow, resonating. Very aims of freedom and balance could spell doom for the striving weak. Resonating words for a lot of situations, like say being immunocompromised and feeling powerless as the world moves on from COVID safety measures. This is what he would, if Harvey was writing a game, he'd probably put this in the game. They're like people wearing masks. I'm like, I'm so scared of COVID measures coming off. Or like if a woman does something in a game, it's suddenly politics. Yeah, that's sure, Harvey. If there's a non-binary character, it suddenly is politics. Like, people don't want that politics in their game. They don't want to think about non-binary. They don't like trans. Normal people don't want like trans people. Like, they don't mind them. They'll tolerate them, but they don't need it in a video game, a fantasy video game that they're trying to play. They want attractive people. They want a world that's a little bit nicer in some ways, like a little more aesthetic than their world. and more extreme with like adventure, opportunities for adventure, and like, these wild, grand quests. They don't need pronouns or top surgery scars. They'd rather not think about that kind of crap. Meanwhile, anyone trying to tell you that a little sugar glider ninja is forcing politics down your throat because he's talking about a book in an interesting way, they're going to sound more unhinged than usual. Yeah, because the point you're making is dumb. Is the reason they'd sound unhinged. Like, no one cares if you use metaphor. If it's done in a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's done in a skillful way, like a subtle and artful way. You can use metaphor for your story. People aren't going to complain about that. That's not, real life politics just smashed in your face. Like, here you go, Bow. Here you go. Hey, you want top surgery scars? You want to be trans? Go for it. Here it is. In a lot of ways, you can't avoid it in some of these games. As someone with weird gender stuff, this is the problem. This is exactly the problem with Western games is guys like him are writing these games. And then like he'll insert weird gender stuff into his game rather than having, some weird sugar glider, as he's talked about, forcing, talking about a book. He'll have himself be a weird gendered guy. He'll be like a weird gendered character, discussing about gender as gently. And then, of course, he complains about Veilguard being a gender being very cookie cutter. This was just a little bit, it wasn't good enough, Wasn't good enough. And then he's still complaining about Veilguard. The major problem that it reads too much like a 101 guide to not be a jerk to your trans friend. There's a place for that. So he's okay with that. And I'm glad people feel seen by it. But it doesn't deliver metaphor's overall level of political nuance. A nuance which ironically protects it from being pulled into culture wars. Yeah. If you use nuance and metaphor, here's the thing. I guess I'll just get into it right now. When you use nuance and metaphor and you keep it some level of vague, people can relate to it in their own ways. So this guy thinks, metaphor is talking to him about, COVID restrictions and not being a jerk to trans people. But like everybody has experiences with, feeling discriminated against, feeling like they don't belong, being othered, not fitting in or being disenfranchised. Everyone deals with that through their lives, especially at different points of their lives. So everyone can relate to that. When you use sort of a nuance and metaphor, it's part of the human experience. And that's why people like it. That's why it's good art. Not because it's like, you're racist or I'm a trans person. If you don't use my pronouns, you need to do push-ups. That's why Veilguard is dumb. And I don't like, again, I haven't played Metaphor ReFantazio, so I can't say it's like overall good. I'll take his word for it. People seem to enjoy it fairly well, but as long as you don't shove specific issues right in people's faces, they're okay with that. They're okay with having some intrigue or struggle, class struggles. This is just part of history, the human experience, where you have this kind of stuff. A lot of people can relate to it. I'm aware that I'm writing it in the wake of a very turbulent U.S. election that has a lot of people scared. The anxiety I've seen hasn't been surface level raging about pronouns, but a real material things. Problems like, what if I can't get my meds? Will my state not be safe to live in because I'm gay? These people are constantly stirring their own people that they're supposed to be fighting for, apparently, into a panic. It's, I think, honestly, irresponsible. And I need to figure out how to help my partner leave the United States. Or are you housing illegal immigrants? Like, what's going on? I love this level of panic where they're completely doing the people that they're supposed to protect a disservice by whipping them into a frenzy, a stressed out frenzy. Politics is the mechanism which we're impacted by powers that rule our daily lives. Wow. The hopelessness in this is amazing. This is the guy, yeah. So these are the people writing crappy art right now. This type of guy, like Harvey Randall. And you know what? People like that, it's obvious they do. They enjoy a game that speaks to real issues they experience. No, they don't. Or like maybe they could find it if you make a game, that's vague enough, artful enough that people from multiple backgrounds, multiple life experiences can relate to it. Succeeded because the politics are an important part of video games. A medium that has used political themes for over 4 decades. Yeah, politics, like at large, like a political sort of message or political, struggle, intrigue, class warfare, different groups and races not getting along. That's a part of human history. It's a part of the human experience. Of course, it's going to be used as stories in video games, stories in fantasy. All of this stuff is an important part of art. But the idea that we have to throw like gay people in it somehow is like that's necessary. It's necessary to have representatives, like make black elves or multicultural elves as part of this is ridiculous. You don't need it. And this is the problem people have, but he wants to try and do this thing where he just weaves them all into like a giant ball. And say, yeah, politics are good. Definitely. And of course, after the election, his tweets are protected. He's not doing well. He's not doing well, poor Harvey. But I don't really care. Maybe I'm a bit happy that he's not feeling well because stuff like this is. He's from the UK, by the way, where they jail their political opponents. If you're unhappy about little girls being stabbed by immigrants, you get thrown in jail. So yeah, good politics over there, Harvey. Thank you.